Welcome to today's edition of Weather to Watch. The main story is definitely the toasty weather. Those are the red colors you see on that map right there. Also, we'll stop in with the tropics and take a look and see. It's been in the news quite a bit lately to see if that's still an active area that we need to be watching. Hi, I'm meteorologist Ted Keller. Now, the good news, I think, is that the country as a whole, if you look at this visible satellite loop, is really pretty quiet. In fact, there's a real lack of cloud cover across the majority of the country. In the central U.S., we have just cumulus bubbling up here, convective activity, maybe a couple of showers there, southeast of St. Louis, southern Illinois, a couple more in Louisiana, maybe some there in Arkansas. But this is a quiet weather pattern. A lot of cloudiness offshore here. We'll get into what's going on here and what that may lead to down in the Florida area, southeast Gulf area. And this is a pretty obvious storm moving ashore in the northwest. In fact, if we look at the 500 millibar flow, that's definitely where the jet stream winds are at their strongest right now. Starting to see some signs of fall with these, when the red lines are packed closer together, it means the winds are blowing stronger. Trough of low pressure. This thing will eventually unleash and go into the northern plains. Meanwhile, this is just kind of lackluster flow here. There's not much going on in the upper atmosphere. Weak areas of high pressure, weak areas of low pressure. Again, these are something that we probably need to watch a little bit to see if there's going to be maybe tropical development. Certainly, it'll lead to some heavy rains. We'll highlight that here in a minute. Let's take a quick look at that surface map. At the surface, high pressure is centered over New England. And when you see flow around the other side, you usually get warmer temperatures, and that indeed has happened. What has not happened, though, is that look at the Gulf. Now, normally, you'd start to see return flow here with moisture from the Gulf. All these winds across the Gulf are the northeast or even the north or the east at least. So this has really shut down the dew point machine. We're not really getting a return flow of moisture. So when this system and its upper level feature moves into the northern plains, it's not going to have a lot to work with moisture. Hence, the instability will be limited. Hence, we're not really looking for a lot of severe weather possibilities with that storm as it starts to move into the northern plains over the next 4 to 5 days. We'll have to use IR satellite now over the Atlantic because it gets dark out there now as the seasons start to change. We have what's left of a hurricane right there. It's really just a tropical wave. In fact, Imelda is being classified as a post-tropical cyclone, or the remnants of what was a pretty good hurricane that went like this and then went like this and went right over Bermuda. It went from here to here in just 2 days. So it was really moving quite along. Meanwhile, there's a less than 40% chance of development in the main development region over the next 7 days. And then this is what I want to focus in on a little bit more here. Let's take a look at this. So this is the GFS. I want you to notice here and here. So we're looking at isobars and rainfall patterns, but look for areas of low pressure. That's the little L's that'll appear. Notice that there's one that kind of crosses maybe over the peninsula of Florida, comes out in the Gulf. That's one. And then there was just a little bit of a blip of one right there south of the Delta here in Louisiana. It's toward the last couple of frames. You'll just have to watch very quickly. There it comes right there it is. So anyway, the Gulf is warm, which is sea surface temperature. So there could be some tropical development, but if you focus on that and not what the effects of what might develop will be, you'll kind of miss what's going on. What I mean is it's a precipitation maker no matter whether it's classified as a tropical system or not. Look at these rainfall totals over the next 5 days. From coastal areas of Georgia all the way down to Miami, the yellow is 4 inches, and we have some 7-inch totals there across the central eastern coastal areas of Florida. And notice this might be something, too, that starts to impact southeast Louisiana. There is only right now a flood watch in effect for this area from just north of West Palm Beach to just south of Palm Coast over the next couple of days as that situation begins to develop. If we turn our attention back to the tropics, though, what I want to focus on is that if you look at the Atlantic in the month of October, you don't really see the main development area firing much. You might see something out here, at least according to climate. But what's interesting is this little branch right here. So this is basically what happens when fronts, which have become a little more energetic, stall out in this area, and little waves may develop. And with that warm water, if you get the upper level winds to settle down, because tropical systems don't like wind shear. So if you get those to settle down and you have a stalled front, then you have a chance of maybe something spinning up. So here's that high temperature departure map. This is for Friday. And again, the colors mean how far above normal we are. And we're looking at well into the 15 to 20, maybe 25-degree range here, with Fargo at 91 tomorrow, close to that. In Chicago, 89, also 89 in Kansas City, 94 in Rapid City. So very, very toasty. Now, this is jet stream induced here. This out here, that cool, and this cool here is basically cloud cover and rain induced out on the southeastern seaboard. Now, if we go to head to Sunday, you'll notice that, remember I said that trough was coming ashore here? Well, that's having an effect on temperature. Dropping Cheyenne will only have a high of 54. Meanwhile, still toasty in the northern plains. But I want you to look at this. Minneapolis, 85, and Green Bay, 82. Now let's go ahead to Tuesday, and they'll be about 10 degrees, 8 to 10, 20 degrees cooler in those areas. And that jet stream flow will cool off this entire area here. Really toasty for this time of year is going to move by Tuesday to the New England area. Now, note that these are above normal temperatures, but they're nowhere near heat advisory or heat warning criteria. This is just a climatological look. It's just really warm for this time of year. And this cooling in the Rockies behind that upper level trough is causing some frost and freeze advisories for these areas in purple, mostly higher elevations, of course, but it is a sign of things to come. If we take a look at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, that starts Wednesday of next week and goes through Sunday. Still pretty toasty, and this is confidence level. So when you see the darker colors, that means they have a high confidence of above normal temperatures there. Texas, Louisiana, pretty neutral probably in New England, and still a little warm for this time of year. At least the confidence is there as we kind of poke that up into the Dakotas for late next week and into the weekend. Except for the southeast, there isn't a whole lot of heavy rain hazard going into this 3 to 7 day period. But on the 5th, so today's the 2nd, so we're looking at Monday. Remember the flood watch was in effect here? Well, this kind of extends more up the coast. Not surprising from that precipitation outlook I showed you, is it? But Savannah and Charleston kind of get into the act for heavy rain potential as we go into early next week. Also, much of New England, the southeastern half, I guess you could say, has a little bit of a heavy rain hazard around the 8th. Next week, and around the 9th, the mountains north of Phoenix look like they're going to have some heavy rain potential. And the last graph I'll show you is that 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook that starts Wednesday of next week, and it does show a high confidence for it being pretty wet in parts of Arizona and the Four Corners area. Pretty good confidence, or at least measurably, that it'll be dry in the central U.S. and the eastern coast. A little bit wet, perhaps. Thanks for watching this edition of Weather to Watch. It comes out every other day, or as the weather necessitates. Please remember to share this with your friends, subscribe to the channel, or at the very least, like what you just watched. Thanks.